Welcome to my YouTube channel, Dennis the Monk. I am Dennis Vyzhikovsky, and I'm the monk. Today's conversation, a talk, is going to be how to find peace during the coronavirus pandemic. You know, when people reach out to me and ask me questions about peace, about faith, about the journey towards self-fulfillment, there's a lot behind what we need to do. And peace and finding peace is not like a magic pill you can take. It's something that we have to do. For example, to find peace, the first movement and step towards finding peace is moving into an experience of self-awareness, being aware of our thoughts and our experiences. When we allow ourselves to be self-aware, we can begin to make adjustments, and we begin to understand that we're not perfect and that we need to change. In order to move forward in our life, the whole process is an experience of daily change, daily being aware of who we are, where we're going, and particularly what we're thinking. What's been challenging during the coronavirus is watching the hysteria. And it's so easy to get caught up in watching the news, reading the news all day long. When we do that, we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to stop, to break, to reflect, to be grounded in the moment so that we can begin the process of finding peace in the midst of the chaos and the suffering and the pain and the death. So we'll go back to, if you really want to find peace in your life, particularly during this experience, and for many it's isolation, or for people in the healthcare, it's in the front lines of taking care of extremely sick people, people who are dying. But what we can do is, one, go into a place of our mind, being aware of how the mind is affecting us, and beginning to discipline the mind. And we discipline it, in this case with the coronavirus, by perhaps choosing maybe 1 or 2 times during the day that we will limit our attention to the media, our attention to even listening to the news. Perhaps we need to move it down into reading the news so that we can filter out all the drama and just see what's really happening. Because what does happen when we overload our mind and our senses with something that is extraordinarily difficult, painful, and affecting everyone worldwide, is we can begin to develop trauma, self-trauma. We can begin to develop post-traumatic stress syndrome based on a day-by-day being consumed with what's happening around us and hearing other people speak in a negative way. So, for example, Stephen and I, what we're doing, and my mom lives with us, we're staying away from the news. We're watching it maybe once a day. We are making an effort not to get overwhelmed, but just take care of ourselves and those around us. We want to help, but we're limited because we also chose to isolate ourselves, because my mom, who lives with us, is 84 years old, and she's in that age range that if she gets sick, she could die. So where does the peace come from? Again, we start with being self-aware. Start to being aware of the mind and what the mind does to us. The mind is the seat of the ego for me, and the ego is an acronym for me, is easing God out, or it's a place where we either think better of ourselves or less than. We think better than or less than. When we're in a situation such as a crisis and we become overwhelmed, the mind and the ego, now it's going to not move it's not going to move into a place of being better than. We're going to start to feel less than. We're going to start to feel out of control. And yet, we are in control of certain things. We are in control of whether or not we go out and interact with people, or we isolate ourselves during this crisis period. We have control over what we think, we have control over what we say, and we have control over what we do. The challenge is when we try to control things that are out of our control. For example, controlling others, somebody else. Unless they're in our responsibility and our care like children, yes, it is our responsibility to have certain amount of control and guidance over them to help them through this process. This could be a time that we can help them, children, develop a better sense of self and learn that we cannot control things that are beyond our control, hence not creating frustration for ourselves and anxiety. Because when we attempt to control what is out of our control, we stress ourselves out. So all these elements of self-aware come to a place of putting off what is not necessary, focusing on what is necessary. And I'm having a really hard time talking because my dog over here is choking. He has a coughing issue. But anyway, so we're now moving from the mind and being self-aware, being aware of our actions. As we move into being mindful of our thoughts, our thought processes, and how they start to lie to us or manipulate things or circumstances or what we're hearing and causing fear, fear has the ability to interfere with having peace. There is healthy fear, like I am walking down a dark alley and someone puts a gun to my head. That's a good time to be afraid because that fear produces this whole biological and emotional experience called the fight or flight. And so I can do something. I can fight or run. But that fear is productive. However, when we allow ourselves to be inundated with experiences that cause fear and we cannot do anything, we can't fight, we can't do anything to protect ourselves from it, we have to find another way. For example, how can we protect ourselves from the coronavirus? Well, certainly be afraid if you keep on going outside into large groups where that's how we know statistically that the coronavirus is going to spread. So we can start by thinking more clearly. So again, going back to the way we think, moving out of our ego that says that we feel better than or less than, it takes us away from that place of being perpetually bombarded with emotions of fear. We are now participating in the process of overcoming fear that's unnecessary. What I used to do way back in about 20, 30 years, I went through a serious depression. I broke my ankle. I was in financial straits. I was the leader of my community. We were going through all kinds of persecution, and I was lost. And I remember taking one moment at a time, and I'd stay in the moment and just say, in this moment, I'm okay. We need to allow ourselves to give ourselves a break from the bombardment of information, and particularly information that's unhealthy information. People are posting on Facebook, people are texting, and they're sending information that is not substantiated. It's not real. It's based on someone else's comments, and it's causing more fear. Well, can you understand? The more fear we have, the more that we can't control elements of that, there's no way we're going to have peace. So what do? And speaking from being aware of the mind and coming out of that place of the ego, there's now a place where we go into the heart. What do I mean by that? The heart is that place within us that filters the world around us through objectivity, objective love, and objective truth. Objective love, I found my rules for objective love in the New Testament scriptures, where it's in 1 Corinthians 13. It talks about the 15 attributes of what love looks like. So there I find love. And it's a scale that we can use, and it's a filter. Objective truth is reason, logic, and understanding what is valid and invalid, or just understanding what truth is. When we move into our heart is that place that's the sentinel that guards us in the spiritual world and in the physical world. It's that place within us that can merge the two. And there, my friends, is where we can begin to find peace. Now, we're controlling our mind and thought. We're controlling what we're allowing to bombard us. We're limiting that information. So one, we're giving ourselves time to assess. and to be present to what's happening so we're not getting overwhelmed. Then, as we're doing that, we're not allowing ourselves to become fearful of something of which we should not fear if we're in a place and we're doing the things that are safe for us. And we may have other people that are in the world of the front lines, but still, for us to bring ourselves, me, into peace, I need to move into my heart. When we move into our heart, the next step is to be aware of a higher power. It could be God. For me, it's God. I also refer to God as the universe. It could be a doorknob. It could be anything that's beyond me. Something that's outside of me that we can say, I'm going to put my trust in this. I'm going to give this power or an attribute that takes it away from me. Because when I think that I am God, when I think I can control everything, when I think I have all the power, we are setting ourselves up for failure, and there's no way we're going to have peace. Because in a situation like this, with the pandemic, try going out into crowds, try going out anywhere, and see what happens when you get sick, and see what happens when you get the coronavirus. So me being God is not going to help me. Having something outside of me that I can let go and give what's happening to that's outside of me, I'm going to refer to now to the higher power. I'll say God too, the universe. When I can go into the place of the heart, and I can understand what objective truth is and objective love, the skill set that we find there is already beyond the limitations of the mind. It allows us to objectively know that I can't do these things because it's not healthy for me. I can't listen and read the news because I'm becoming OCD about it. I'm becoming overoccupied with a reality. So there is truth to the reality, but we don't have to continuously bombard ourselves, because when we do, we don't give ourselves a resting place to realize, wait a minute, right now, here I am, and I'm okay. Right now, I'm okay. And to release this experience so that God or the higher power can grant us peace. And if you don't believe in a higher power, that's a challenge, but still, in not believing in a higher power, you can still come to a place of letting go of that which you cannot control. You can also be very prudent. You can be rational. You can still go to the place of objective truth and objective love, because it's measurable. It's not about emotions. In that place of the heart, whether you believe in God or not, whatever it is, but in the place of the heart, we will find peace. That's why people meditate. When we meditate, we let go. One of the ways that I meditate is I stop my mind from thinking. And all I'm doing is being present in the moment to love. And what is love? I let go of all those thoughts like clouds going through my mind that have the ability to distract me from being in the moment and being where I want to be if it's that time of prayer meditation. We all need to stop. We all need to give ourselves an opportunity to let go of what is unhealthy. It is a choice. You've heard the saying, are we a victim? Is it a choice? Is it something that we're choosing to be or allowing to be? We don't have to be. We don't have to fall victims to our fears. We don't have to fall victims to the insecurities. What we need to do is start to have some self-discipline and control. It starts with the mind, being present in the moment, letting go of the ego so that we can move into the heart where life begins. I hope this helped you, and you can join me on Sundays next week, same time, roughly the same time, same person, same mustache. And I hope what I was able to share with you from my years of experience of being a monk for 34 years and practicing this with everyone that I meet, regardless of their cultural belief system, because love crosses all those barriers. We need to allow it to happen to ourselves with non-judgmental compassion and understanding. I hope you have a wonderful day and find something that you can enjoy today for you. Bye now.